Okay, so hello everybody. I'm just trying to do my own live stream. Right now Danny's outside, so give me a minute as I try and get all my thing pulled up and we'll get started. I'm just one person and the video's over there, everything's over there. I'm having to go do it and then we'll get started. Sorry guys. Hello Deborah and Heaven's Essentials. Let's see, I'm trying to find out how to do my pop-out chat so that I can maybe see some of it from a distance. As people come in, you guys just chat. Hello, Denise from the Ozarks. Because I've got to be able to kind of, oh, every time I do that. Okay, guys. This is Danny's usually one helping with this pop-out chat thing. Hi, Eyes to See. How are you? You can bump one thing. Plant-based homestead prepper. I like that. Bernice. Hardnack. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. So I see a lot of you are popping in, and from here, I can't see the chat real well. I may have to move the computer over here in a few minutes, but first things first, very grateful. This is from a company that sent me t-shirts called something Tank. I've forgotten now. All of a sudden, forgot, I can't see the back. Anyway, they sent me some t-shirts, and this one says grateful, and it's shirts you can wear, expressions, so you can express yourself. They have all kinds of shirts, and we're going to do some on crazy days in a few days, just haven't got there yet. Let me see. Prep steading with disabilities, lots of people popping in. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be cooking sweet potatoes. We're going to be canning sweet potatoes. So I'm trying to talk too fast. Slow down. Okay, so first off, coffee. And I'm going to show you my coffee pot right quick. I'm going to see if I can bring it over and you can see what I'm doing. And it has to quit perking for me to do this, but you see this? Isn't that nice? Stringfield Ridge. Probably pop in here in a little bit. She gave me this coffee pot, and I do use it. I use it over at the cabin, but today, and my little thing was twisted, today I'm going to be using it here, and I'm going to be pouring my coffee, and we're going to start out with a cup of coffee. Always have some coffee handy when you're canning, or tea, sweet tea, Mississippi sweet tea, whatever you got going on. Okay, so I'm setting my coffee pot out of the way. So we have the stove where we can use it for what we need. Now, I can tell y'all cannot even see the stove right now, and I'm probably going to have to readjust and do something with it. Okay, second thing I want to talk about before we get to canning. Y'all see this? You get it where you can see it. Isn't that awesome? This is a homemade dish towel that somebody sent me like last year. See? You can tell it's pretty worn. I've used it a lot. If you sent me this, please let me know. I crochet, but I cannot figure this stitch out. This stitch is held together so much better than any crocheted washcloths that I've gotten. I've crocheted some of my own, but this stitch I cannot figure out. So if you send it to me, please, 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 let me know. Send me the directions to this thing, whatever, because send me 3 or 4 more. I don't know. I like this. This is good. I think I've done a video before and nobody's answered me. So if you sent that washcloth, please let me know. Next thing. Hold on. To get started, I'm going to throw my apron on. Now this apron came from Miss Lippy over at Gemini Homestead's mother-in-law, Mr. Buddy's mama. She put this in, and I don't know, I'm going to have to see if I can back up. I may have to drop the camera. This camera is still not where I need it. Okay, this drawstring goes around the top and to the sides, and I'm out of the camera range. And when you pull it, see, I can choke myself, but it fits, I guess, anybody. One size fits all. It comes around, ties in the back, and Very easy on and off. And you're good to go. And she knew I like blue. Okay? So if you're interested in these, you have to talk to Gemini Homestead and tell her, hey, I would like a apron with these drawstring things in it. It's real easy. All right, so cannon. I'm going to move everything over because I did not expect to have to do this. I thought it was going to reach, and it's not looking like it will. So I'm going to show you what I've got going on. Okay, here's my sweet potatoes, my jars that I just cleaned. I have my rubber mat and all my cooking stuff down. On the stove, I have in this pot here, let me see if I can get it still. I have water that I've added sugar to. It's a 4-to-1 mixture. 4 parts water, 1 part sugar. If you put a quart of water, you put 1 cup of sugar. Very simple. In the back, I keep, this pot doesn't always get shown. Let me see if I can get it to where it's at. This is a pot that I keep hot water in because I like my jars hot, and I like my lids hot, and my rings hot. We have a Presto canner. You have to have the little thing in the bottom. It raises your jars off the bottom. I put 3 of these cups right here. And here, this holds a quart. Now, funny story. We're going to talk about this just a little bit. Let me turn the camera where I can get to it. And I will answer questions in a little bit, okay? Hey, Dee, how are you? I've got my rubber mat. You see that? Okay, so I'm trying to look at this and this too. Okay, so funny story. It takes 3 of these tall measuring cups in my canner for me to can. If I wrote you a direction and said 3 tall measuring cups, you wouldn't know. I'd have to say a quart because this holds a quart. Something I saw one time about this woman, she was using her mother's recipe for turkeys, and she told her husband to go buy her 3 8x8 pans for turkey. And so he went to town and brought it, and so she chopped her turkey up and put it in 3 different pans and baked it. And he said, why did you do that? And she said, my mom always did that. That's the way she did turkeys. And so later in life, she asked her mom one day when she thought about it, she said, Mom, why do you cut the turkeys in 3 different pans? What's the reasoning behind it? And she said, well, that day that you saw me do that, that was the only pan I had. So I cut cut the turkey in 3 pieces, put it in 3 pans. She said, normally you would leave the turkey whole and put it in 1 big pan. So that's where recipes get crazy. If you've got an old recipe and somebody said my green measuring cup, you have no clue what that green measuring cup was. It could be this size, or it could be this size. So in old recipes, that's where sometimes things get mixed up, is size. People don't realize that older people that had a green cup knew that the green cup was 1 cup of sugar. They may not have wrote it that way, or if it was a half a cup. So you have to know that. We're going to get started now. I'm going to see if I can flip you around to right here. And we're going to see if we can't start. Okay, let me see. Commercial. Yes, commercials. I do commercials. Sweet potato pie. Okay. All right, so let me see if Danny come in. Did you come in? No. Okay, I was hoping he came in. He could help me just a little bit. I didn't see him. I thought I heard something. All right, so we're going to start out with the very simple thing of putting potatoes in jars. If you have questions and you put them up, please put them in all caps. And I don't know if I have any of my moderators in here right now, but some of my moderators maybe can come in and help me with the questions and help answer them, or keep popping them up where I know. Oh yeah, the bits, the scants, the pinches, all of that gets to be a little crazy. All right, first off, I use these to get my jar out of the water because, like I said, I use my jars are hot. And you see this? I've got the tongs all the way to the back of this jar. That's one of the things I tell my canning class. Make sure it's here, because if you have the tongs right here, you tend to want to lose that jar. If you've got it here, you've got more leverage, and that makes it easier to get that jar out. And it's hot and you don't want to grab it. I take my next jar and put it in hot water. Okay, let me move. I've got things in position where I'm used to having it, so for camera purposes, I'm going to have to move some things around. Okay, I have here, this is a wide mouth funnel. It means it's wide here, but here it fits a regular mouth jar. I'm using it on a wide mouth jar, which it doesn't matter here, but the reason it's wide here is so that it has more area for things to go in. Let me show you a little bit of a difference. I don't have a regular funnel, but some funnels are about half this size, and when you're trying to put something like sweet potatoes in, or you're trying to pour liquids in, it's small and you have a smaller area here to deal with. So my hands are clean. We have been out in the garden today, but I have washed my hands. And with sweet potatoes, I am putting them in raw. I am raw packing. And I didn't ask, are y'all hearing me okay? I'm assuming you are. All right, I'm raw packing the sweet potatoes. And we're going to go, let's see, this way. Then, okay, I have this. This is a 1 cup measuring thing. It doesn't matter what you use. But somebody said because it's Tupperware, I shouldn't be using Tupperware. My water is not boiling hot. It is just good hot. I just keep it on like a steam hot. So I'm using this to dip my water for my sweet potatoes. And you can see this is big enough that it catches it all. And you just fill it up to the rim. And when I say rim, I'm talking, if you can see, I go to this top rim right here. I don't get it over that, like right there. That's what I want. And I knew I'd forget something. For a debubbler, now I'm using this chopstick. It's a heavy duty chopstick. Works just great if you have chopsticks like this to take the air out and push your potatoes down a little bit. And see, it went down just a touch from my rim. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of my liquid. And it's got it there where I want it. Okay, and I put my thing on there, and we're ready to cap it. I've got a damp cloth. You can put vinegar on it and wipe it, and that takes any sticky off. With this, you shouldn't have any sticky, but some people are messy, so you want the sticky off of the top. Then this is a magnet. It gets my lids and my rings out of the hot water over here. Some people, because they're pressure cannon, don't use the hot water. They just use their jars and lids and rings all at one time and then put it in the pressure canner. They think that will kill all germs. I'm a little overkill. If you know anything about me and Danny, overkill. And you want to hand tighten. Don't over tighten, especially these wide mouth jars. I don't use wide mouth very often because they tend to buckle on me. I like regular, but with the sweet potatoes, we're doing wide mouth. So the difference between, let me put this one in right quick. Sorry for disappearing. Okay, this is a wide mouth. Let me get them here. You can see the difference. Regular and wide mouth. 2 different types of lids. So you need to know, for any of my basic Canon 101 people, you need to know whether you've gotten a regular or a wide mouth, because it makes a difference in the size of lids you get. These are wide mouth. The regular are maybe a third of the, 3/4 of this size. I'll get it right in a minute. Okay, so this one's going into the canner. We're going to just slowly go over here and put the first one in the canner. All right, so we're going to repeat the process until I get my canner full and see if we can't get it where you can see most of it at one time. Do we have any questions? Okay, I do have a couple of people with wrenches. Good. Mama tried, yes. Some of them say not to heat them. I've got mine on a low heat. I'm not boiling them. We called the company on that, and they did say do not put them in boiling water because of whatever reason they've changed something. I don't know. Like with the jars, they've definitely changed things. And you have to keep up with it because they don't tell you on the package what to do. Now this one might. I don't know. I hadn't read it lately. Lids are for one-time use. Wash in hot soapy water, rinse well, set them aside, and they're ready to use. Wipe the jars clean, center the lids. It doesn't say anything about putting them in hot water at all. So old school like me still puts it in hot water. Sorry. I just like it that way. I like to know that there's germs off of it. I don't take my lids and put them in soapy water and stuff like that. I just stick them over in hot water. And we just kind of push the fresh, raw potatoes like this down in there. Add our syrup, which is a really light syrup. 4 parts sugar, no, 4 parts water to 1 part sugar. Get it right. You guys would have some really syrupy potatoes if you did it backwards. Okay. Let's see, we're about to the rim. We're going to debubble a little bit. And a touch more water. Wipe the rim. And add our ring. And if any of you know, Danny does this thing where you see ball at the top. Well, actually, this says cur, but he wants, whatever the sign is here, he wants this centered on there like that. It's just an OCD thing. I never did this before, but we pacify him here at Deep South occasionally. And this one's ready for the canner. Okay. So, let me turn it back and y'all just watch me work. And if y'all have questions, you'll have to ask. And I will try to answer. Hard Knacks says they're old school. They like old school. Do purple and white sweet potatoes can the same way? The purple sweet potatoes. Okay, let's talk about those a little bit. Let me get this where I can work while y'all are listening. We have some of the purple, we have some of the white, and we have the orange. The orange sweet potatoes are absolutely the best, the sweetest. The white and the purple do not can the same. I mean, they can the same way. Don't get me wrong, they do can this way, raw pack and with a syrup. They just do not have the same taste, and they are a different texture to me when you, the white and the purple. We have some of the purple in the cellar, and when I make a sweet potato thing that Danny, dessert that Danny likes, it's just different. It's not the same with the purple at all. But yes, they do can the same amount of time. You do same amount of process here for both white and purple. Most of our white sweet potatoes we will probably eat fresh. I probably will not can any of those, and I'm not going to can any more of the purple. We did not like them, and so that's going to be something we will eat fresh. We mainly like the white sweet potatoes done like French fries in the oven, and so I hope that answers your question. Yeah, Danny is OCD. I am too. Very much so for the most part. I can lose my OCD real quick. All right, I'm taking a coffee break, just saying. Any questions, y'all have to ask, and I will try to keep looking back and seeing if they're there. And it doesn't have to be about sweet potatoes. It can be of any vegetables you want to know. I've had people ask about canning. To me, canning is an easier way to preserve your foods. You can dehydrate, and if you have a good dehydrator, that's a good thing because dehydration does work. I just do not like rehydrating foods that well. To me, it doesn't taste the same. It has just a different texture. I don't like that, but when you're hungry and what you have is to rehydrate dehydrated food, then yes, it is a good thing. But Danny and I both are not big dehydrated fans. I do a lot of dehydrating because we want it for our prep purposes more than anything else. Okay, let's see. Hello, Grandpa's Farm. Let's see. Where are we at? I dehydrate because I'm terrified of blowing my kitchen up and because jars are crazy expensive. Okay, we found that the jars, when they're on sale, are a good thing, but you buy them up a little along. If you've got a big garden and you want to can everything and you don't have any jars, yes, that's going to get expensive. But if you buy a dozen jars this week, and say in 2 weeks you get paid and you go buy another dozen jars, things don't get as expensive. Lots of times it can be the price of a cup of coffee in town. Some people pay 10, 12 bucks for a cup of coffee. You can buy a pack of jars, a box of jars. So it can get expensive, but you have them from now on if you take care of those jars and don't bust them, don't chip them. One thing I do want to talk about here, always check the rim of your jar before using. Run your finger around it, and if you find a spot in that jar at all, if it feels like it's chipped, do not use it because it won't seal. Danny and I found one the other day and just got rid of it. Can you can lentils? You're talking about dried beans? Yes. If I'm going to do dried beans, it's about this much, if you can see, in a jar. Fill it full of water, put salt, and it goes for an hour and a half. You don't want to add too many, and some people soak their dried beans overnight and then put them in and then do the 1.5 hours for canning. So it's up to you on dried beans, but yes, it makes it easier when I want to make like a chili dish that I need red beans or something in, or I need adzuki beans, to have them already ready in a jar. I just dip out the already done beans instead of having to wait for a couple hours or 3 or 4 hours for them to cook. So I really like the dried beans. How do you put up with my buddy Danny for long? Grandpa's Farm. I don't know. It's not hard to put up with him when he's outside. I can put up with him for a long time as long as he's working outside. We get along pretty good. We've been married 6.5 years, and we do really well. Yeah, Patty, I'm with you. I can't afford that coffee. I'd rather go get jars. Yeah, Chili has got to go feed the pigs. Yeah, we were just working on our pig pen this morning. Hopefully a video sometime maybe next week. John says he was beat with sweet potatoes when he was young. I can only tolerate them at Thanksgiving, but just a bit. Oh, I didn't eat a lot of sweet potatoes growing up. We had some. My mom fried hers. And I wasn't big on fried sweet potatoes. Y'all, I'm getting behind. I was drinking coffee and watching the comments. Okay, let me get this where I can sit down and talk to you for a minute. Mom always fried most of her sweet potatoes, and I wasn't a big fan, so I didn't eat that many of them. And the only thing I did like was at Thanksgiving you do this sweet potato deal with ours had pecans and stuff on top. I don't remember what all's in the recipe, but it's really, really good. It's like a sweet potato pie with pecan pie on top, just about it. And we only got it at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Why, I don't know. Why do we do this? We have things like sweet potato casserole and dumplings and dressing here in the South. Some of y'all don't know what dumplings and dressing are, but mainly for Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter. We like dumplings anytime. So if I decide I want dumplings tomorrow, I'm going to make dumplings tomorrow instead of wait until a special occasion to do it. But, you know, we have to have some nice things going on. Ponderosa says, I'm late and was working on a project. Okay. Sweet potatoes can be used in a lot of different ways, and I'll probably drag out my book in just a minute. I'll probably go get it now so I can show you some things that I think I can do 2 more. So let's see if I can get, let's see, 3. I know I'm going to get maybe, I'm hoping to get 7 wide mouths in my canner. Let me go get that book before I forget. I don't see it. Okay, I'm not finding. I may have to take you guys with me over there. I've got a whole cabinet full of cookbooks, and one of the cookbooks is nothing but sweet potatoes. How to make sweet potatoes. It's got everything in it, from sweet potato soups to desserts to putting it in stir fry. I mean, if you've not put sweet potatoes in your stir fry, you messing up. You need to throw some slices of sweet potato over in your stir fry. All right, I love this. How can I get into this the right way, and how long will this last? Okay, following. When I can sweet potatoes, the shelf life, I try to use everything in my jars within 5 years. We have had tomatoes and stuff that are older than that, and green beans that are older than 5 years. Most stuff like sweet potatoes and fruits and things like that, we use within 2 years. Some things may go a 3rd year if we had a very good crop. But I'm all about rotate, rotate, rotate. All these sweet potatoes I'm putting up now will go into my cellar, and all the sweet potatoes from last year will come to the house. And that way I will use the older sweet potatoes first, and not use these that I just canned first, if that makes sense. I'm all about rotating. The right way to get into it is to buy some type of canner. And if you're scared of the big All-American or something like that, get a Presto. They're under $100. They'll hold 7 quarts. You get, hey, the easiest thing for me to tell you is to go to town, buy some carrots. They're cheap. You usually can get organic carrots really cheap, and process organic carrots for the first time in some jars, and get used to your canner. Carrots is an easy first time canning thing. And like I said, you can buy them for $1 a pound usually in town. It takes about 7 to 9 pounds of carrots to do 1 canner. Hey Brenda, you made it. Do you make the veggie chili recipe Edith Smith potatoes in? Okay, I'm not sure, some of your spell check is kind of a little weird, but yes, sweet potatoes in chili. That's one of the recipes, I do believe, that's in that book. You can add it to chilies, soups, stews. It doesn't matter. Sweet potatoes can be added just like anything else. And you would think with a touch of sweet taste it would be odd, but really it's not. it gives it a good taste. Like I said, I add it to stir fries. I will julienne some sweet potatoes and add them in just like I do carrots to my stir fry. And y'all, it is really, really, really good. The purple sweet potatoes are awesome in a stir fry. I did a lot of that last year, mainly for color, because my stir fry, I love color in my stir fry. The more colors I can add, the prettier it is. And y'all, I probably forgot to debubble talking to y'all. I don't know. Somebody's going to catch me on it and say you forgot to debubble one, but I've done this so long that if I don't debubble, all it does is some of it settles a little in cooking and it still eats the same. And if it eats the same, we're good. This is the last one. I'm going to take you with me. And this is what my canner looks like. We have 7, let me get it where you can see, 7 wide mouth jars of sweet potatoes. I'm turning the stove on up on high, and I'm fixing to put the lid on. So I'm going to see if I can sit this where you can see, hopefully, the lid. Okay, the canner lid is another thing we'll talk about. It has this little valve here. It's a rubber thing. You check it every year before you start and make sure it's working properly. It mainly is a pop-off valve. You that are scared of your canner blowing up on you, that's what this is for. If too much steam builds up, this pops out and the steam will come out here. In this day and age, this is a safety valve, if you want to call it that. This right here is your little valve that when the steam builds up, this pops up and it holds the steam into your canner. When you cool it down, that pops back down. And do not open this canner when it's up like this. Never, ever, ever open a canner with it up. Wait till it pops down and then slowly open your canner away from you. Not toward you because the steam's coming up in your face. Open it away from you like this. Hope that makes sense. So we're going to put this on, slide it into place, and you notice we do not put the weight on yet. So when you look into the book, it says 5, 10, or 15 pounds of pressure according to where you live. Mine does not have a gauge. It has these weights. This is 5 pounds of pressure. Where I live, I have to have 10 pounds. So this little round ring goes on there. That is 10 pounds of pressure. There's one more of these rings that goes on that would make 15. If I were living in a different altitude, I would need the 15. But I only need the 10, so the other one ring is in a drawer somewhere floating around, I guess. So this only goes on once the pressure has built up. What I'm going to do is try and get it where... Okay. I'm going to see if I can get me and the pot and everything into the picture enough that we can talk. And if something's going on, you got questions, you can ask. Let's see. I saw you not burp only one jar. It's all good though. Thank you, Dee. I knew somebody would say I forgot one. I see a lot of you going to the HOA. That is this coming weekend, I believe. I'd love to be able to go, just honestly. I'd love to go. We had too much to go. This time of year is crazy. And if y'all had been here this morning, Danny and I got up before daylight. I'm talking, it's still dark outside. He's using the tractor lights to see what he was doing. This is a first cool day. I'm serious. First cool day it was under 80 degrees. I think it was in the 70s. And then earlier it was up to 78. So we have had all morning to play outside and get a fence done. The drought's been a blessing. Got fencing done. How long will sweet potatoes last without canning? If they're cured, once you dig fresh sweet potatoes, they need to cure for about 2 weeks. Once they're cured, if you put them in a dark, cool place that's not damp, They should last up to 6 months to a year. We've had them last in our cellar from this time of year till spring. But sometimes they want to sprout because our cellar does get warmer than most people up north. We are down deep south, as you know. So they should last under good conditions in dark place in a cool cellar approximately 6 months. People have kept them that long. It's just hard for us to do. We have to test ours. The ones we store in the cellar, we test every month. We go out and look to see if they're starting to sprout, because once they get that I want to sprout thing, there's nothing you can do. You got to can them. How long will sweet? Oh, that's one I just asked. All right, overlook. Have you ever slightly roasted pumpkin or sweet potatoes before canning them? No, I've never roasted them, sweet potatoes, and canned them. I don't know how that would do. Gemini says they have one more trip. Yes, I'm looking forward to that trip. We're not going to have another trip this year, I don't think. I've got a wedding, and then I've got another grandbaby being born. So that's our trips. That's where we go, is to visit family. What does it mean to cure? It means we dig the sweet potatoes. The sweetness is not totally there. You can eat them fresh out of the ground. We do. But we can tell a difference when we wait 2 weeks and then eat them. The sweetness just kind of sets in them, I guess you would say. And the skin on the outside, when you first take them out of the ground, is real thin. After 2 weeks, it has a thicker skin, and after 3 to 4 weeks, the skin on the outside just kind of toughens up and just preserves the inside potato. Let's see. Did I mention to you I'm using hay this fall instead of straw. Okay, so Papa Truck is changing from straw to hay. We can't hardly do that because of fire ants. So do you store some fresh eating for the next 6 months and then can for extended range? Yes. We always store our Irish potatoes and our sweet potatoes, as many as we can, in the cellar fresh, and I can the rest. Right now, the problem is my Irish potatoes have been down there since May, whenever we dug potatoes. I went down there about 2 weeks ago, and they're starting to sprout. So in the past few months, as hot as it's been, it's making the temperature in our cellar rise. So I am canning Irish potatoes as well as sweet potatoes. If you saw last week, I canned several. If you follow me on Instagram, I post pictures of what I canned that day, off and on, and some of it was potatoes and butter peas. Hey, Red Shed. Adele says her book says 11 pounds. I just bought that weight to replace what the canner came with because it has a gauge. So the 10-pound weight is the same as the 11-pound gauge. It's possible. I'm not sure on between gauges and weight, but it sounds like it would be similar. I've never used a gauge, so I don't know. I can't explain gauges to you. Do you store the sweet potatoes on racks Danny made with the regular potatoes? No. We have the racks for the regular potatoes is only for our Irish potatoes. We have boxes that he built, and in the cellar video somewhere back in the very beginning when we did a tour of the cellar, or he shows the boxes that we put sweet potatoes over in. And sometimes we put regular potatoes in those boxes too, but this year we had the new racks he built, so we've got our nice thick boxes. Those boxes are probably 12 inches deep, maybe. I don't know. You can do 2 stacks, and we put straw in between, or hay. We use hay. Let's see. All right, so this is not building up pressure yet. You can see it's getting there. It's on high. And once it starts building up, you'll see steam coming out this right here. And it's not there yet, so we're going to wait just a little bit. Any questions on regular potatoes or anything like that, or beans, peas, carrots, anything? Do you can taters in sugar? Mine is a sugar water, 4 parts water, 1 part sugar. Um, yeah, you can your sweet potatoes in just water. I just like to add the 1 part sugar for extra preserving power because I want my potatoes to stay in the jar at least 5 years if necessary. Usually mine don't last that long, but I would like for them to be there if at all possible. Um, let's see. I canned some old potatoes. It looks very thick. Should I compost them? Uh, Probably not. If they don't look, I mean, when you open them up, smell them, look at them. If everything looks good, they should be fine. Old potatoes will do that. The starches in them come out, and they look really like they have a thick, like you're making white gravy in them almost. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I don't like canning old potatoes, but our potatoes will do that. If I like the ones in the cellar that are starting to sprout, they'll have more starch in them than normal. Um, so we're buffering a good bit. All right, I can hear this, and the steam is starting to come, so we're going to give it a few minutes before we put the weight on. What is the name of the white sweet potatoes Danny planted? We are not sure. Those sweet potatoes were sent to us, I believe, through a Homestead box type thing that was going around for seeds. And when it got to us, there were some white sweet potatoes in there. And I cannot remember the name of the Homestead that put them in there to ask because we didn't write all this stuff down. We just decided, hey, white sweet potatoes, we want some. So we don't know the variety. We did have some Triumphs that we got from somebody that we knew what they were. So I know some of ours are Triumphs, but I don't know what the others are. Um, let's see. I find if my cuts are larger for cold pack, they hold shape better and not mush. Yes, well, mine are smaller, and I'm going to tell you why I do smaller. Danny did real big when I got here, but I do smaller potatoes and sweet potatoes because when I want to make a sweet potato pie, I don't want those big chunks and I don't want them hard. I want them where I can take a fork and just mash them. And so most of mine cook really good and they're not mush when you take them out, but they're close. And I like that because mostly what I do with my sweet potatoes is mashed. So I like them, the closer to finish, the better I like it. Now, if you're doing something else with whole sweet potatoes, big chunks, you want them, yeah, big chunks is great. Do you put anything in the water with your raw potatoes, keeping them from turning colors? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I put lemon juice over in my water, like in my potato, regular Irish potatoes and sweet potatoes. If I know I'm going to be an hour or two before I get them all canned, that's what I do is put lemon in them, and it helps preserve them. To me, anytime you put sugar or salt in anything that you put in a jar, it helps the preserving it for longer periods of time, I guess. Not saying that it would stay good any longer. I guess that might not have been the way to put it. But for me, it's an extra safety precaution. Like in my potatoes, I put salt. In my beans and peas, I put salt. That is a extra little bit on the preserving because you wouldn't want to just put your potatoes in there and water and hope that they stay good for a long time. A lot of people do sweet potatoes that way, but I add a little bit of sugar to my sweet potatoes because sugar is a type of preservative. That's why you add it to jams and jellies and stuff like that. That's why you don't have to do anything but water bath your jams and jellies. You've got so much sugar in it that it ain't going bad for a long time. Let's see. Some of you are saying you're buffering. Sometimes that's on our side. Not sure. Sun's out right now, but it could be, the wind could be blowing. Lose Northern Lights. I see lots of people coming in. Mountain View. Helios. The buffering cleared up, but it's working fine now. Okay. All right, so you see the steam coming out? I can see it. Yeah, I can see it on here. You can see the steam. All right, so we're fixing to start. Some people say they let it steam for as long as 10 minutes. I make sure it's steaming. I keep an eye on it for a few minutes, and then I put my weight on. So it is steaming, and we're ready for, like I said, I have to use 10 pounds where I am. So that's what I'm going to be using. The main thing about the steam is you want it to shoot the steam up so you know that you're not, you don't have any clogged passages or got something in there where it's just going to sit and the steam's not rising, because you want this thing to jiggle. We're going to get to the jiggling. I'm going to put that on there. It's not going to jiggle for now. We're going to wait for this to pop up, and you see it's already doing a little dance there. No sugar on regular potatoes, just salt. Sweet potatoes, I use sugar. Sorry about that. Can you puree them in the liquid for mashed sweet potatoes? Yes. When you take your sweet potatoes out of your jar, if you need a little bit of liquid, what I would do is I would drain my liquid into a cup. I would take and start mashing my sweet potatoes, and if you needed more liquid, I would use that sweet liquid like I have here over in it out of your jar, and it would be fine. Add some butter, salt, a little bit of cinnamon, more pecans. You got a great sweet potato puree. All right, so we've got our thing. We're waiting on this to pop up, and it's okay. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see it, but this, around that, we'll pop a little bit of moisture up because of the steam inside comes out right here. That's nothing. If you don't want it there, just take and, like I did, lightly dry it up as you're processing it. It's not hurting anything. Okay, salt for regular potatoes, sugar for sweet potatoes. Our butter peas have done great, so we've canned butter peas. Butter peas, same thing. I raw pack butter peas most of the time. Okay, y'all see it? It's popping up and down. It hasn't quite got there yet, but it'll get. Every time I do, okay, so Lou says every time she does beans, they like to spoil. Butter beans are really, really one of the tougher things, I think, to keep from spoiling. Years ago, every time I did butter beans, half of them would spoil, and it just wasn't worth it. It's getting there. Almost done. Ha. Okay, so now that this is up, we still are not turning our fire down yet. We want this. It's going to be jiggling a little bit, and I'll show you that in a minute. I know this is one of those things that takes a little while, so we'll just sit and talk. Butter peas. It is a combination of speckled butter beans and field peas. We've been growing these for the last 3 years I know of, and they are doing great in this drought. We have not watered them. They're still producing. We just picked twice this week. I don't even know how many jars. We put them in pints because it's just me and Danny. And I probably put up close to 20 pints so far off of these butter peas that we didn't even think would even make due to the drought. We haven't watered them. Hello, Bonnie from Alabama. So back to the beans. I'm not sure what I'm doing different this time, but years ago, my butter beans would spoil very easily. So now what I'm doing is you can raw pack, or you can lightly blanch them, like for 2 to 3 minutes, and then hot pack them. But whatever you blanch your veggies in, do not use to pack your jars. If you're like I have this sitting here, if I'm blanching my beans or my potatoes or whatever, carrots, whatever you blanch in this, throw this water out, get fresh water, get it hot, and put it over your beans and peas. Don't ever use your blanching water. I think years ago I used my blanching water in my jars. So I don't do that anymore. I've not lost a jar of beans yet. Not saying I won't, but by putting fresh water in it, because when you blanch, you take out a lot of the impurities. So you want to throw that blanching water away, if that makes sense. Every time I raw pack dry beans to can, they always spoil. So I stick to the soak method. Okay. Okay, if you're talking about dry beans, that makes more sense to soak them and then do it. Yeah. So not something I would find in a store. I watched your videos picking them. No, we found years ago, Danny and I both grew up eating these. These were an old Southern favorite, and we either had somebody send us some or Danny had some saved from years ago. I can't remember the first ones. And then a couple of years ago, we were in our local feed store, and they happened to have some in there they had gotten in that were speckled butter peas. And so we bought some new ones to go with our stash that we had been planting, and we just keep planting them every year. You can order them, I think, from Baker's Creek. I think somebody said they were called speckled Dixie peas or Dixie speckled butter peas or something. I don't remember how they worded it. I've not used any from Baker's Creek, so I can't recommend those. I do know we've been in touch with Hoss Tools. They are thinking of trying to locate a supplier that they trust with the butter peas, so you might keep up with Hoss Tools, and eventually maybe they will have the butter peas. Okay, now Gemini says she stores her peas and beans unwashed in a cotton pillowcase in the freezer. Lots of people do that. That's the old-fashioned way, is to store them in the freezer unwashed. You take out what you want, rinse them, and clean them, and eat just like they were fresh out of the field. Awesome way to save peas and beans if you have electricity and a freezer. What can I do to make sweet potatoes edible? Grizz, I would say you need to add more sugar, more butter, more eggs, more milk. Fluff it up really good and put it in the oven. Add some cinnamon if you like cinnamon. Some people like ginger in it. If you don't like the taste of ginger, that could be turning you off. If you ate a sweet potato pie and you didn't like it, it might be the taste of the ginger or the taste of the cinnamon or something like that. I make Danny's very plain. There's nothing in Danny's as far as cinnamon and ginger or anything like that. His is potatoes, eggs, milk, butter, sugar. That's it. I blend all that mixture up together, put it in the oven, and it's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, Lou, we use the Ball Blue books. That's what I would recommend everybody to get, a Ball Blue book. We have 3 or 4 of them. Do we raise spaghetti squash? We have. We did not raise any this year. All Danny's plants that he started from seeds, he got them up yay big, and all of them died. We did not get any squash at all this year. But we do like spaghetti squash. Okay, so Patty got some from her local co-op too. All right, so this hasn't started jiggling yet, so we're waiting. It's fixing to. You can hear it. And we want it at a certain jiggle. Now, I know that sounds weird, but let me turn where I can get to it. It's starting to dance a little bit. We want to wait till it gets dancing pretty good, and then I'm going to start turning my stove down to get it to the jiggle that I want. I don't want it going 90 to nothing on top, and it's fixing to do that. If you leave it too high, your jars will buckle, the tops will, the lids. So now that it's dancing, I just turn it down a notch, and I sit here and watch it for a minute. If it keeps doing this, I'll turn it down again. Usually my stove will be at about 5. It's about where I do most of my canning. Your stove will be different because everybody's stoves are different. If you're using gas, I can't tell you how high the flame's got to be. I don't know. That's one of those recipe things that you can't explain. You just got to have a feel for it, and you got to know what you're looking for. Let's see. You like all things but not the potato. Oh, Grizz, well, sometimes I don't like celery, and I don't care what you do to celery, I just don't like celery. I have tried it every way imaginable, every way possible. Friends have tried to get me to eat it in any way, shape, or form. I still don't like the taste of celery, and I don't like the taste of beets. So I feel you, Grizz, with that one. Okay, on my sweet potatoes, I take the skins off all of them because that under that skin is this white looking stuff. I kind of peel that whiteness off and get just to the flesh of the potato. Okay, so this is doing reasonable. This is how you want your canner to do. You do not want it to get too fast, but I still have it up on high, so it hasn't built up pressure enough to really dance. So we're going to leave it a minute, and if it gets to dancing too much, we'll turn it on down. Yeah, we like our sweet potatoes baked, and lots of times we bake them. We open them, cut them open, put butter, honey, cane syrup, whatever inside it, and that's an awesome way to eat. Great way to use our cane syrup. And guys, we're going to be making cane syrup before long. It's not doing the best in the world, but we are going to get to make some cane syrup. Now, I can cook with celery salt. I don't mind the taste of celery in food as far as that, but don't let me bite into a piece of celery and crunch into it and get the whole taste at one time. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. Poor Grizz. See, you don't like sweet potatoes. I don't like celery. Not a good match. Sorry. Cajun food has celery. Yeah, a lot of people use celery in a lot. Hi, Higgs Rock. I'm getting hot, y'all. It's getting really warm sitting here. All right, you see how it's starting to dance? It's getting a little bit more, a little faster than I want. So I turn it down one more notch until I get it to the normal what I want going. A lot of people use celery. I use celery in like my pickles. My refrigerator pickles has celery seeds in it. I don't mind that because I'm not biting into the seeds and I'm not eating them. I'm eating my pickles. It gives it a good flavor. I get that. I just don't want to bite into a piece of celery. Deborah says she's going to send me something to go with my Corningware with blue flowers. Oh, that's awesome. I am trying to collect a lot of the pieces so that I can have some here and some over at the cabin because Danny and I, let me show you these, this right here, this size, I use these all the time. And I've had people say I don't cook single meals so they don't use these. I cook, let me see where it is. I cook this. When I cook this, I cut it up in 4 or 5 pieces and I put it in here. And when I want to heat it up, I heat this instead of heating this thing up every time. I only heat what I need, if that makes sense. You cook in big amounts, you heat in small amounts for 1 or 2 people. And so this size is perfect for us. And this size here, I have a couple of these. This size is perfect for me to put a few beans or peas or something like that in and heat instead of heating a whole jar. I take and open a jar like this of green beans and I take out maybe this much and I put in this and heat and put this jar in the fridge. That way I have this stored. I didn't heat it all at one time and then put it in the fridge and take it back out and heat it again. I'm keeping this fresh until I'm ready to eat the next part. And we usually get 3 meals out of 1 quart of green beans. So let me put my stuff back up. I'm kind of OCD about the kitchen. I like my stuff put up. When I start, okay, so we're still, the canner's still kind of, let me turn it down one more notch. And I want to keep it about at this speed. I don't want it to get any I don't want it dancing any more than this, put it that way. If it starts dancing more than that, we'll turn it down again. Because I'm at about 7 right now, so it may have to go down a little more. Try some kind of beets instead of bulb, tuber beets instead of bulbs. They taste different. Yes, I found some things that are different like that. Yeah, Patty, it's wonderful because before I met Danny, I was used to cooking for a family of 7. And so we didn't have many leftovers, hardly ever. We ate everything. And so when I was by myself before meeting Danny, I didn't cook at all. Danny thought I didn't know how to cook because when we were talking, I said I don't cook. And so he took it, I didn't know how to cook. So when I first came and met Danny, he cooked every time I was out here. He cooked everything. When we got married, he was still cooking every time. My daughters would laugh and they would say, Danny, you're spoiling mom. And he says, well, she don't know how to cook. And my daughter says, Mom knows how to cook. So they kind of gave it away, and I had to start cooking then. Let's see. Deborah has an All-American that has a petcock and gauge on it, no weighted gauge. Do you feel it's safe, or should I convert to a weighted gauge? It's just whatever you're used to. I'm just used to this type canner. That's why I said I've never had an All-American. We're on a glass top stove. I don't know if you can even see that, but this is a glass top stove. Most people say do not cook a pressure can on a glass top, but we've been doing this for years. This one stove has probably had canning done on it for 14 to 15 years, and I don't know if y'all saw, but we have company. And lots of times you can find canners at secondhand stores.
I saw a canner and the paper with jars for $50.
Yeah, Danny said he saw one in our which paper?
Something like the swap.
Some kind of like local swap paper. $50 for the canner and a bunch of jars. You have to just keep an eye on your local papers. I would say if you see garage sales like an older house, like that maybe the older person passed, when the younger people see this stuff, they just get rid of it. They do not care because they don't can. I'm still laughing over Lippy's squirrel thing too, and the slinky. I thought that was funny. I had to tell Danny about that one. Country Homestead Preacher says, hello, Danny.
Hello.
Okay. So I've got this about at my 5, and that's where I want to keep it. Now I'm setting my my thing. Let's see. I'm going to set it for an hour and 30 minutes. Sweet potatoes take a long time. It's something to do. Danny, can you explain what is wrong with the sweet potatoes why it takes an hour and a half? It doesn't, something about sweet potatoes, it just takes an hour and a half. Don't ask me why. Regular potatoes take 40 minutes, but sweet potatoes take an hour and a half. And you don't want to ever pressure can mashed sweet potatoes. Don't do it. Make sure you have cubes. Evelyn said she loved your small things video today. He said thank you. I don't know if you can hear him in the background. He's probably sitting down eating something, knowing him. Miss Lippy said hello. And so did Helios. And Hardnack said they paid $24 for 14 dozen jars. Oh, man. I'm telling you, you find them all the time. We get them all over the place. I've had an aunt bring me a whole bunch of them one day. She used to can, and she didn't use her quarts anymore. She only used pints, so she brought me a whole bunch of quarts. Yes, the mashed sweet potatoes are denser. You do not want to do that, or you're just saying sweet potatoes in general. But rule of thumb is do not can anything mashed because you don't have a way for the water to penetrate and help keep the inside the same temperature as the outside. With cubes, you have water going around it to help cook it better. Okay, so now this will go for an hour and a half, and I'm not going to make you guys sit here for an hour and a half and watch this, but I did want you to see how the jiggler should be doing this, approximately like that. If it gets higher, turn it on down. Don't ever walk off and leave a canner going. Um, I learned the hard way. I left Danny and Amanda from Freedom Acres in here one day. I had to go down to the cellar, and it had 5 minutes. And I thought both of them sitting right there. And I left it, and I knew both of them were listening, or thought they were. I go down to the cellar, and I'm about 10 minutes in the cellar, and I come back, and my canner is still jiggling. And so I come turn it off, and it's 5 minutes past time, which is not too much past your time. I go look, both of them had fell asleep. Neither one of them was paying any attention to the canner. One was on one couch, one was in a chair, and they were sound asleep. I woke both of them up and said, hey, look, did y'all hear the canner? And Amanda go, oh, I was listening for it. No, they weren't. They were sleeping, just saying. Eileen says she loved your video too. Yeah, a lot of things from family estates just go away. And I told Danny, I know when he and I are no longer around, all this stuff that Deep South has is just going to get sold to somebody. Tips and suggestions on what to look for. It's according to how much you plan on canning. If you plan on doing a lot of canning at one time, the All-American stacks, 2 stacks, like you can put your pints and then more pints on top. You can't do All-American on a glass top stove. So that's why we have a press stove. We like the small because 7 jars, hey, I'm ready for a break after I get 7 jars in there. I just soon take a break, and when this gets done, I'll start 7 more. If you want to do it all at one time and you've got a heavy-duty gas stove or something, or an electric stove that has a good eye, you can do the All-American, or if you're doing it outside on one of those big burners that you buy. How many jars do we use a year? Oh, Lord.
Probably
That's hard to say.
close to 2,000, I'm sure.
Danny's saying close to 2,000. And that's probably getting really close. We go through, it's hard to say. I'd have to sit and try and figure it. But I wash a couple of dozen jars a week easy. So if I do 2 dozen jars a week times 52, what is that? 24 times 52. Somebody do the math and tell me. Because we open green beans, English peas, carrots, and potatoes of some sort every day. And if we have fresh potatoes, then I don't open a jar of potatoes. I open the sweet potatoes at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. Danny does pears or figs every morning. I have a jar of jelly open, which will last a couple of weeks, so, figure the jelly. 1,248 jars. You were close to 2,000. And so that's give or take. Because
that's only what we open. That's not what we can.
That's what we open. So we can, like potatoes. I want Danny to get his book out because he's keeping up with all this. And in a future video, we're going to tell you how many jars we've canned this year. This year's a low year compared to last year.
Yeah, this year hasn't been a good year.
Yeah, we have not canned near what we usually do, and this is getting a little bit. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to kind of keep it up. Okay, Albany says she does use her All-American on her glass top with no problem, okay? So I guess it's a preference on what you want to trust and not, because we've been told not to even can on a glass top, and Danny's been doing it for 14, 15 years, so it's not a big deal.
As long as you don't just slam something down or put something cold on something hot.
Love how he said that as he was just walking by. What did you say? I don't even know what he said. And that's like if we don't have company. If we have company, we open more jars than that.
Yeah.
When Freedom Acres was here, there's no telling how many jars we went through a week, because between just adding her and Sunshine here, added a few more jars. And she loves doing casserole. And so when she does a casserole, it's potatoes and beans and meat. And see, I didn't even mention the meat. We when I open a jar of meat, now we've got some fresh meat right now that we're eating on. We've got pork, lots and lots of pork. Gemini, you're gonna get pork. I hope you eat pork. Just saying. But we are doing a lot of pork right now because we have so much of it. We do have some beef. We're fixing to do turkeys. We're going to be canning some more turkey. I have chicken. Um, we're still eating on those meat birds that we did last year. Y'all would be surprised how long meat birds last, especially if you don't eat a lot at one meal. Them things are amazing. Um, let's see. Ponderosa says, my kids have threatened me with my World War II project I'm starting on my channel from my grandfather's World War II collection. Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, they're saying, he says you can't use the All-American on a glass top. Yeah, a lot of people say that, but they say you can't can this way on a glass top, so it's one of those things. Pork is my favorite. We have pork sausage that Danny and I made. We have pork made into hamburger patties with no seasoning in it. We have pork chops. We have smoked ham. We have smoked ham hocks. I know Gemini needs to know what she can do with some ham hocks or hog jowls. That's got to be right up your alley. Bring the recipe.
Hog jowls and rice.
I'm not sure. We'll see. Can we make a video when we can meat? Next time I can meat, then I will try to jump on and do a live like this. You can raw pack, or you can do what?
We have videos, don't we?
I may have some videos doing some meat. I don't know how many videos I have on meat. You can raw pack, or you can cook some of it and then put it in. Most of my turkey and chicken, I cooked first. I either pressured it and took all the meat off the bones and then took the broth and put it all in jars and canned it. Or if I do it raw pack, I've done chicken breast that way. Pack it in there. We did the chicken legs and what else? Chicken thighs. We packed them down in there, poured broth over it, and canned those. We canned some sausage patties, which turned out really awesome. I lightly cooked those halfway and then put them in my jars, poured grease over it, and canned those. And we opened some recently. We have a video on that. The taste is awesome. We've done hamburger meat. We take and brown it, put broth over it, and can it. I've also raw packed it and just put water in it, just a touch of water, because it makes its own juice. We actually like it better, already browned and put broth in it. It tastes better. Ham hocks and purple peas and boiled cabbage. Sounds good. Navy bean soup. They come out with all kinds of ideas. All right, so this is going, it's been, if you can see, that's exactly what you want it for an hour and a half. Gina says she loved the dancing in the rain video. We love getting to dance in the rain. That's the first time I've been out in the rain dancing in a long, long time. Thank you, Helios. Have you ever canned Kennebec potatoes, which is a white potato? We do a redless soda, which is a white potato. An Irish potato is what I was calling them earlier. Um, I've not done the kitty backs because we don't raise those, but I have done the red leaf sodas, and I take them out. I've used them as French fries. I use them to make mashed potatoes, potato salad. Um, you can make potato soup. You can put them in casseroles. You can add them to stews, meat, whatever. You can use those potatoes anyway. Canning sausage, it has sage in it, may throw a metallic taste. We did not add any extra sage to ours. We only used what was in a mix, and it was limited sage, just enough for flavoring. So the flavor was fine in ours. We did not add any extra. So Gemini said she danced in the sun while we were dancing in the rain when she was watching our videos because she was glad that we got rain. Um, yeah, we were about to cry too because that's the first rain we've got in a long time. All right, if there's no more questions, I'm going to let you guys go. This will be on Instagram when I take them out, but an hour and a half, you got jars of potatoes. You let them cool. Don't take the rings off for 24 hours. In 24 hours, take the rings off. If some of them don't pop or ping, they go in the fridge and use them in the next few days. If all of them seal, I usually wipe the tops off and wipe the jars in case there's any juice or anything leaked out on it, and then let it dry. And I write on the top the date and that it's sweet potatoes. You may know it's sweet potatoes, but your kids or grandkids or somebody may come in, they may not know a sweet potato from anything else. So write on the top of your jar what's in it and the date, very important. Gemini says she's highly allergic to sage. Okay, so you're going to have a burger that ain't got no seasoning in it, right? Sage. Yep. Danny said you can't have no sausage. Duncan said, Brenda Duncan said that their rain may turn to snow on Friday. Well, that's kind of why I don't live that far north because I really don't like snow. If y'all saw my snow video when it snowed here, 1 hour and I'm done with snow. That's it. I'm over it. All right, so I don't see any more questions. So guys, thank you moderators for jumping in there. Thank you everybody for coming in. If you, sometime in the future, I guess we'll do a meat cannon video so you can kind of see. I may lay some of the pork out because we kind of got a freezer full. It was like 360 something pounds of pork. So some of it's got to come out of the freezer, and we'll probably can some pork and show you what we do with that. Thank you guys for stopping by, and we'll see you later. Y'all go back and watch Danny's Porch Time if you hadn't. And if you hadn't watched us dance in the rain, go back and watch that. And check out Crazy Days. Hank's over there. For all of you that like Hank, I put up a Hank video last night, and there's a whole playlist of Hank. Y'all need to check out Hank a Dog vlog. Hank would be very appreciative. See you guys later. Bye.